Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Travellers, Season 1, Episode 11. It's called Marcy. Full spoilers for the episode as always. This was a really good episode. I think this was, unlike the last episode, which you had some concerns, it was placed poorly in the season. I think this one's important to be here because it's a culmination of everything that Marcy and David's been doing all season, and it feels like a big sort of near the end of the season thing. This episode, of course, Marcy's health issues finally come up and really cause a problem. She goes to hospital, she's having nosebleeds. We see her and David, obviously, at the start of the episode, kind of finally in a really comfortable position where they're waking up together. We're seeing that they're now that close, which we've hinted that they're getting there, but we've not quite seen it yet. Which, in a way, actually cruelly bookends the episode with that, and then the end, which...
It does. I think it's really clever because obviously you have that scene when they're in bed and then it just comes up with the recorded time of death thing. And immediately it's just like, oh, okay, this isn't going to last.
Which one are you talking about?
The very first one when they're in the bed.
It didn't come up when they're in bed, though.
I'm sure it does.
No, it comes up when I remember the exact moment. It's when the guy's getting dragged towards the tractor. That's exactly when it comes up.
It must have been
just... No, sorry, not dragged. It's not when he's dragged. It's when he's cutting the wire. But it's him. Because...
I could have sworn it comes up before that.
No, it's just when he's going to cut the wire. Because I was actually thinking about it, because we see this farmer go out to his tractor and he's doing work. Yeah. And I was like, this feels like one of these death things, but they've not come up with a timer yet. So I remember the exact point it came up. It was when he goes out to cut the wire, and it was just as he bends down, the timer comes in. And it's funny, because I thought that was a really effective use of it, because it was almost like, I'm doubting it now. Is he actually not going to die? Is there another reason for this scene? And then we get the timer come up, and then I started to doubt myself again, because it started cutting between him, Marcy, freaking out in bed with the blood, and Grace, because Trevor goes to see Grace in the car, and the countdown's playing through all three of those scenes intercutting, and I'm like, this is actually kind of good. They might actually surprise me.
I got that the countdown was there, but I thought there was 3 different times of death one, because usually it starts with a time and then does a countdown. Because it does recorded time of death and then the countdown begins. So I thought we had 3 different times of death.
Trevor takes Grace out into the woods because he's trying to save her. We correctly guessed last episode or the episode before that she was the one that was going to die that he knew. And we actually learned a lot about the rules of the time travel.
Yeah, they answered some of my questions from a couple of episodes ago.
So we know they can't go back any further than, say, the 90s, because before 90s time, give or take, They need the internet, they need security cameras, they need everything that would be there to let you know the exact moment that someone dies. Yeah. And that doesn't exist. If you go back to the 30s, you can't be, like he says, you can't just be close, you have to be exact. So
Which actually does lead to a mild problem I have later in the episode. So when they take Grace, and he says, how, there's no cameras or anything, and she just says, yeah, but she made a phone call, there's GPS. It's like, yeah, but GPS is only like... accurate to like 20 meters or something like that. It's not that accurate.
He said it had to be accurate in time. He didn't say space had to be pinpoint.
If there's 2 people in the space of 20 meters and they're going on GPS and they're going, right, well, we've got to hit this target, how do they hit the right one?
Maybe that's not a concern though, because maybe the genetics, maybe it's not just a case of, oh, I'll just beam into whoever's in the middle of this radius. Maybe there's more to it than just that.
All right, maybe there is. It was the way they spoke about having cameras at all the other ones. I assume they had to see them to know exactly where they were.
Well, there's a camera. It's a phone.
It's not on, is it?
It can be.
Yeah, but it's not. Because even when he asks her how, she says, "Oh, GPS." All right, I'll let it go for now.
I feel like you're nitpicking here.
When it happened, it made me think, and it took me out of the moment.
I felt like Trevor was being a little bit hasty with this. He was kind of doing all this, and I felt like, you're the older one, you should know better.
Yeah, it's like, don't monologue. Never monologue at them.
But then again, he knows he's going to wipe her memory.
Well, yeah.
So at the same time, it's kind of like, well, he knows he's going to erase it all. He's just kind of it's almost like a cathartic thing for him. He's just getting it off his chest. He's like, oh, I can tell you all this because I'm going to wipe it. So yeah. Here's everything that I've been holding in, and I get to just say everything, and it's not an issue. And I felt like her reaction to everything was very well played as well, because she was kind of scared because she'd been kidnapped. She even starts the scene like, oh, are you going to murder me and rape me or whatever? She didn't say that, but you can see it in her eyes. That's what's going through her head.
Yeah, she's just been dragged out to the woods.
Yeah, and drugged. Yeah, so the way she plays it is very well, and then obviously he starts talking about time travel and all the rest of it, and she clearly looks like like he's crazy, like he's a psychopath. And I almost wondered, like, what if he starts, well, how did I ace that test? All these changes in my character, you've noticed that I don't want to play football anymore. Like, I was like, there's almost a line of thought you could go down where you might not convince her completely, but you'll make her question it. You'll make her ponder. You'll make her go, he's making some points here. This kind of backs up a couple of things, as ridiculous as the whole premise is. But I actually did, as much as you complained about the science behind the moment, I actually loved that as soon as she got to a piece of technology, it was over.
Yeah.
Like, that was the end of it. No, technology's there. It's done. Like, she's gone. And she comes out and just completely grills him. So we learn that she's, like, one of the people who picks the host. And that she is actually responsible for Marcy getting into this wrong host.
Yeah.
I say Marcy, you know what I mean? Like, the traveller that went into Marcy.
Yeah.
Like, that's her fault. That was her bad. And she even says, we were too arrogant about our choices because we had such a success rate in the first wave or whatever that we got too arrogant and we made the wrong choice. So we learn a lot of those little things. We learn that it can't go back further than cameras and internet and,
and the more important one as well, which solved my complaint with the one where that was the treasonous guy, was they can't go back further than the last traveller.
Yes, yeah, that was a big thing they brought up, yeah.
Yeah. That was probably the most important one because it means they get one shot. They can't fix their own mistakes.
Yeah. That actually is very interesting. And that does mean that the first person to go back must have went back. Unless at one point it did kind of reset, because what if the person gets back to present day? Because you have to imagine the first time they ever did this, they didn't try it for centuries. They tried a small jump.
Yeah.
But maybe once you start going back centuries, it gets more complicated and it gets more, and that's why there's that rule.
Well, yeah, maybe there is because it's so long. Because he even says it's because of like ripples in time.
Yeah, whereas if you only go back a week, there's not that many ripples you can cause. It's not that big a deal. Whereas you can back however many hundreds of years it is, because we know it's at least a couple of hundred because they keep saying the 21st, so they're obviously at least in a new century, probably a couple.
Yeah. And we know that they're over 100 years old. Some of them.
Yeah, so they have to be going back. And the other big bit of new sort of lore that we learned is that the traveller who goes into the farmer, who is, I think, 0014, which Philip even points out, that's a low number, why is someone that important coming back? Which, by the way, I love that him and Grace have this, like, history. They have this sense of history where they're bickering and he's joking about her attitude or just the way she is, and it feels like there's a history there, which is actually really cool.
Yeah, and I noticed Trevor has a relatively low number as well.
Yeah, he was like, what, 50-something like that?
Yeah, maybe. It was
maybe in the hundreds, I can't remember.
I think it was the hundreds.
But it wasn't
low
1,000,
hundreds.
yeah. Whereas
Yeah,
everyone
like
else in the team's all in the 3,000s.
Yeah. Because obviously we spoke about how he's clearly older, but, I didn't realise it was that significant a difference between them.
That's it, we don't actually know how much time there is between number 1 and number 3,000.
We don't, but the assumption is a fair bit.
A few decades, at least, I imagine.
Yeah.
Probably more than that since he's over 100 years old, but at least a few decades. But then again, it could still be a few decades and be 100 years older, because if he's went back in time...
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I think that works out. But the big emotional crutch, though, of this episode is that Marcy's like, no, we can fix this. We can solve this by... And there's some science mumbo jumbo about why it works, why the brain will take it this time. But this gloss work doesn't really matter. Fine, just tell us it works, that's fine. But it's basically a hard reset where the original Marcy that was sent back will sort of go in again.
Yeah.
As if our consciousness was like a piece of data that's been reset back to that exact moment. And when we see it at the end and she pops back up, she's ready for a fight because she knew she was going to be in the middle of a gang and fight them. That's how she arrived the first time. So she starts with a fight. But it'll erase everything, her memory, since she arrived. And I think it's telling how well they've built up her and David that the moment they said that, I went, oh, David.
Yeah.
That was my first thought. As soon as she said that, I was like, oh, no, David.
I know. David. That's clearly her first thought as well.
And it was. You could see it in her face, and that works really well. They're thinking about each other. We're thinking about them in that sense. So they've done a really good job of building them up as a pair, which is really, really cool. and she questions, do I have the choice of refusing this? I want to go and see him first. And as soon as it went to a scene where he answers the phone and says, "Oh, I'll be there soon," I'm like, "Oh, he's not making it."
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Had they just cut to the apartment, I'd have been like, "Oh, yeah, it's fine. He'll walk in, or he'll already be there." But because they set up the idea that he's on his way, I'm like, "Damn it, it's not happening."
Yeah.
So him in the car ride over, music's playing. I'm getting, oh, this is upsetting. And then that bitch Grace decides to put the reset in early, which, by the way, much like the start of the episode played with it, the fact that when she's making the tea and then the thing comes up on the screen, time of death, and the countdown starts, your heart sinks because we've been so conditioned to this coming on the screen at this point that it really means something now when it just happens middle of a scene.
Yeah, it's like you know exactly what this is. I mean, even if the music and the situation in general wasn't enough of a giveaway, they could have played that without any of that warning, just popped that up, and you'd be like, ah, damn, this isn't good.
Yeah, it's that thing, you know exactly what it means, and it literally starts a countdown, and you're like, oh no, like, it makes you, it hits you.
Yeah.
So we end the episode with David walking in, and Marcy's like, so you're David, I hear we're close, and you're like, crap.
Yeah. It's quite a sad almost ending.
It's a very, don't get me wrong, there could be some really nice emotional beats out of her growing and bonding with him again if we go down that route, but
I feel like the more obvious storytelling route is for them to go, him have these feelings and now her not have them, but she knows she should, but she can't just get them.
Oh yeah, nah, we'll get that first, but eventually.
Maybe eventually, yeah.
Yeah, that's obviously what we're going to have first.
But I feel like it could be quite a while.
Oh yeah, I'm assuming this will be their arc for season 2, almost.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking it'll be. But yeah, that's a really, really sad ending, and it just spoke to me how much how well they've built that relationship up over the season, and how much I care about the two of them. So, really impressive. Other small tidbits in this episode is Carly trying to get Jeff to punch her on camera by goading him on.
Bit too blatantly obvious. I mean, because even before he realizes it, it's kind of clear what she's doing.
It is clear. I'm not going to lie though. I got some satisfaction out of the statement she was making. Because it was clearly riling him up. And because honestly, Carly's story is kind of probably the weakest out of all the, all the characters with the life plots.
Yeah.
I think hers is probably the weakest. I don't really care about her son all that much.
I think the reason that is that obviously with the other people and who they care about, we see them as people, like David and Kat. Like we get to experience them, but her son we just get through her because he's a baby. There is no personality for us to get attached to.
Yeah, he's just an object essentially.
Yeah.
So he's a plot point, but that wouldn't even bother me so much if it was just more. I don't know. It's hard to care because Jeff's such an asshole. And
whereas it's so kind of black and white, isn't it?
Whereas everyone else, it's a person who they have a relationship with. Well, maybe not Philip so much, but Philip's got his own. He's got his own type of problem. He's got his own spin on it. Whereas everyone else, they're bonding with someone. You're seeing a relationship growing in different ways. Whereas with her, it's a relationship that was already there that she, wants away from. Yeah. But it's like it keeps coming back and biting her. But again, it kind of informs that scene where Carly confronts McLaren, and McLaren's like, "No, I get this," and we know he gets it because we see that he still kind of has some of these like residual feelings and memories of the real McLaren's feelings for Kat, and that's kind of there. And when Carly says, "I've sacrificed things," you almost kind of she's almost talking about the exact thing that came up in the episode where she abandoned her son for 2 days when she dropped him off with Jeff. Without a second thought for the mission, whereas he right now is like, no, but give Marcy time.
Yeah, and also I don't really feel like she says, she's sacrificed things like spending time with the son there, but you don't really feel it because she never has a moment to register it.
Oh yeah. Like I say, it's still the weakest plotline, but it still makes sense for her character motivation in that scene.
It does. It's one of those things where I get it because they're telling me it, but I never really get to see it myself.
Yeah. But McLaren said that works perfectly. When he said that, I am like, no, I'm on your side. Like, I completely get why you're feeling this way. I understand this. So, that was a strong episode. Really strong episode.
It was very strong, yeah.
So we have one left. We get the finale. We'll have that up later tonight, so look forward to that. like and subscribe and all that stuff. Let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below, and yeah, we'll see you then.